Obviously a different day today. Is definitely past nose procedure. I just wanted to honestly just sit down real quick and do like a recap on kind of like what they did that day, tell you a little bit after the procedure, how he was acting, how he was, a bit of post-op care, stuff like that. So it has been 7 days since his procedure. The day of the procedure, we had to be there at 10:30 in the morning. We had to valet park first and go ahead and give the people our keys, and they had to send a message to one of our phones so that we could let them know when we were done and ready to leave the hospital. We went inside, had to do front desk check-in and get our pictures taken, to get like a little sticker for Noah as well, and then us into the system. They then gave us directions to then we had to check in on a kiosk type thing and answered all the questions that they needed. That then registered him to get a hospital bracelet. So we went back in line at the little, there was two ladies sitting on either sides checking people in. We then got his hospital bracelet, go to the airplane elevator to go up to floor 2, and after that we went up there. That was the waiting area that we were going to sit in until they took us back into a room. And I then had to check in again with a different lady, and she went ahead and gave me a code, a number that your child will be, because they actually had like 2 TV screens, one on like either side of the room, to let you know like kind of where your child will be in the process, like in the OR, coming out, everything like that. So he had his own individual number, and I got that. We sat down, waited for a little while. They went ahead and called us so that we could go back into a room, and they took us kind of like back through the doors and then to the right to go ahead and sit down in this room, and that was where we would actually be to do the whole process, like talk to the doctors, anesthesiologists, nurses, answer all the questions, get prepped, go ahead and check vitals, weight, blood pressure, all those things. Go ahead and wait there in that room until they gave them the like silly juice, which kind of like makes them very out of it, very loopy, relaxed, kind of like a separation anxiety medicine. I think we were in that room from like 11 to 12:45, 12:50, something like that, because they did take him back a little later than expected, because he was supposed to go back at 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon, and he ended up going back there at like almost 1 o'clock. And then the procedure actually started at around like 1:08, 1:10. So it went under very fast. Yeah, they gave him that medicine like 20 to 30 minutes before they came and got him to take him back to the OR. That in itself was a very funny experience. Obviously, it also is very serious too, but it definitely makes you laugh because you never see your child like that. Did all that, they took him back, and they were like wheeling him down the hallway to take him to the OR, and he gave me like the thumbs up, and literally I could not. I was fine the entire time, and literally was fine through the whole process until they took him back. And I don't know what it was, but I guess like mom emotions, feelings, everything like that, like worrying about your child, hoping that it goes the best, no complications, everything like that, just like set in those few seconds. We had to like follow his bed with him on it until she told us to go out to the left through the doors and back into the waiting room. Literally started getting so emotional. I like started crying a little bit. Obviously we had to wear a mask the whole time. I don't know, it's just sad. You like leaving your child and they're going back to be operated on and put under for surgery. So literally almost didn't hold it together. I had to breathe. I literally walked to the windows where the seats were on the side of the wall and just looked out the window and was crying a little bit. And me and my fiance were just talking, and he was calming me down and everything. You know, the odds of like something going wrong or happening are like, you know, slim to none, especially when they know what they're doing and your child is, you know, in pretty good health condition wise. It's nerve-wracking because there was so many parents there in that waiting room. It was honestly shocking how many people were there, like waiting on their child too, and like pacing around, walking around, trying to keep themselves busy waiting for their child to come out of it and out of anesthesia. They started at like 1:08, 1:10. Got myself calmed down. They called me actually on my phone, and I kind of like wigged out a little bit because I was like, because they called pretty fast after it started, and I answered it, and they were saying like, look, this is what we found. We need to put this many crowns. He also has slight nerve damage a little bit, which I did not expect that. I knew that that one tooth on that side was bad, but I didn't know like it had gone to nerve damage. So it's a really good thing that we did this process, because he had to have 8 caps or 8 crowns, whatever you want to say. And then he also had to have that nerve fixed. They literally like removed the nerve that was damaged on that molar, that piece had to come off where the cavity was. So really glad that we took care of this situation, because I don't know what would have happened with that whole like nerve damage thing if we would have waited longer. They said that the procedure would last probably like 35 minutes or so. They actually finished a little bit quicker. They finished at, I went ahead in my messaging just to go see what time they finished. Actually finished at 1:38 p.m. So it only took like 30 minutes. That is another thing too. They also took my number when I checked in at the final waiting room to send updates, and obviously they called me like to let me know what they were going to do and proceed on with the surgery. They only give you that update when it starts and when it ends. There's not really any like in between updates, unless obviously something like, you know, goes differently than what they expected. The time by went by fast because I was just kind of focusing on other things, praying and everything like that, kind of like going on my phone just a little bit to pass the time, because it was so nerve-wracking. He made it through, and they went ahead and told us that the procedure was finished, and they actually took us back into a separate room with one of the doctors or nurses that was in there while he was being worked on, and they kind of just gave us a quick rundown of what they did, asked us if we have any questions, told us like post-op recovery, which he is having to do mouthwash twice a day, brushing in the morning and at night, and then doing the mouthwash after for 10 days. The mouthwash is super disgusting. It smells nasty. I feel so bad for him that he has to do this. Instead of letting him gargle it and then spit it out, we're putting it in the cup, the lid, and then kind of like soaking his toothbrush really good in it and then brushing his teeth. We are doing it that way so that he does not swallow any of the mouthwash, because they said that you could do it either way, like whichever is easier for you and your child. Obviously, it just has to get done and be done for 10 days so that it reduces the effect of like infection and stuff like that. So he's actually on day 7 and he'll be done in 3 days. I'm excited because he honestly does not like it that much. I mean, kind of just keeping it positive with it and saying, oh, you're on day 5, you're on day 6 and stuff like that. So kind of helps him keep on track of like how many days he has left, and that the fact he's almost done with it. After we talked to that nurse and stuff in that little separate room, they put us back into the waiting area until they called us again to come back in the like post anesthesia recovery area. We didn't have to wait long either from that. I think we literally talked to her, and then like within 20 minutes or whatnot, they were calling us again to come back to meet with Noah. It's just nerve-wracking knowing that your child is being operated on and you're not with them, and you can't like hold their hand for them to go to sleep and stuff. They had to do that by themselves. So I was ready to be with him and see how he was doing. We walked super fast. We walked with another couple too. They were like behind us to go see their child as well. It's really weird because they took us to this like area where there was curtains and everything, and we were at the very end of the curtains. We like went around it, and all you saw was like socks and a blanket just like thrown on him, and we were like, what the, our child actually right there? So we walked on each side of the bed, and the lady that was with him is like the post anesthesiologist nurse, where she's keeping track of his vitals and all that stuff. Then we see that he's like laying on his side, and the blanket's like all the way up to here. Another thing too about this whole process is, if your child is going to get dental work done like he did, and they're going to be put under for the procedure and stuff like that, just definitely prepare yourself, because I was obviously prepared, don't get me wrong, but seeing him like that was honestly heartbreaking. Try not to get emotional. It's just weird seeing your child in a way like that that you've never seen before, and anesthesia for them is a big deal. So seeing him look like that was, I did not want to ever do that again. But we definitely made it through it. We're on the other side, we're recovering. It was awful because his face was swollen, his lips were huge. Obviously had to put a tube down his nose all the way to his throat area so that he could get oxygen. And he had like blood all the way down his face, and it was rough seeing him like that. He was obviously still asleep when we came back there, so the nurse kind of just took that time to kind of go through things, go through what's going to happen, like what to expect after. Don't expect your child to come back normal after the procedure, because they're usually very cranky, out of it, in like a, ooh buddy, it's not a good mood. I mean, who would be if you just got put to sleep and then come back with like a mouthful of soreness and dental work done? And it's swollen too. He finally woke up. He was upset because they didn't have green popsicles, because that was what he was set on for when we went in there to do the whole process. To pee as well. In that whole process, his oxygen kind of like tanked a little bit. It went from like 93 down to 91, then 88, and then even dropped to 81. So we were like looking at the nurse like, is this normal? Like what's about to happen? So that part was kind of really scary. Did not expect that. Nurse was kind of like making that face of like, oh, okay, we're gonna have to like make sure his vitals go back up like right now. And he was coughing a lot after he woke up and during waking up. It sounded so awful. It sounded like so hoarse and dry. The nurse genuinely thinks that he like got so upset that he kind of like held his breath for a minute or whatever, and it affected his oxygen levels, because otherwise she doesn't understand why that even happened. Also, because of all the coughing and everything, him coming out of it, they actually had to give him a steroid so that it would open up his airway more so that he could breathe better after. So did not expect that or the oxygen thing happening. But yeah, we got him to the toilet. Chris had to carry him on his shoulder all the way to the bathroom down the hall, and then the nurse carried his little like IV bag and stuff, and she helped us set the IV bag on the hook and then left the bathroom, and me and Chris helped him go to the bathroom, because don't expect them to be able to do like anything themselves for like at least 2 to 4 hours after the procedure, because he literally could not hold his own body up or his head or anything like that. We literally had to hold him on the toilet to make sure he did not fall off to be able to pee. So, because he literally was like almost throwing his head back, and Chris had to like catch it so that he didn't like completely like fall over. Came back, he kind of like settled down more. She hooked him back up to make sure his vitals were okay. They were fine. Finally drank some apple juice, and then we were able to get him dressed kind of while he was like half awake, half out of it. And then she was like, you know what? He's done what I need him to do, and y'all can go ahead and go home if y'all want to, and go ahead and text that number to let them know that you need your car pulled back up to the entrance. It was a whole crazy process. I can't even imagine parents that sit here and have to go through procedure after another and deal with like their child being under for hours at a time. My like props to you guys. Surgeries and procedures on your children are not for the weak. That's all I'm gonna say, because I can't even imagine the parents that have to go through like so many surgeries, or even the parents that are dealing with their child having like cancer or any type of health problem like that. Like, I have no words for you guys. He was in a mood for a little while. He did not want to be messed with. Chris carried him to the car. We put him in the car. I rode him back with him to make sure his head didn't like fly forward or to the side. We finally made it to go pick up his sister, and he slept that literally the whole time, like from waking up from his procedure back to sleep all the way till we got there, picked her up, and then he was still kind of out of it. Then finally woke up and was kind of in a better mood, but wanted me to hold him and be beside him mostly, and then start eating like Jello and things like that, because the first couple days he could not eat solids, and that's normal because their mouth is so sore and they can't like really chew anything. So definitely like be stocked up on Jello, popsicles, ice cream, applesauce, like all that good stuff, because for the first like 48 hours or so, it's gonna be like they're not even probably gonna want to eat solids. So he's doing wonderful. He's doing great. His teeth are doing so good now. The only thing that he still has is like a mark right here on his inner corner from like the deals that they had probably on him to keep his mouth open during the procedure. He can eat solids way better. He only took like ibuprofen for like the first 2 to 3 days after he had the procedure, and then after that he was good to go. That is all I wanted to update you guys on. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope this video was super informative, super helpful, especially if your child has to go through something like this or be put under for a different type of procedure or the same one. Thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and if you haven't already, turn the bell notification on so you know my videos are uploaded, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.